Hey everybody, it is Wayne with Ugly Mug Marketing. Hope you're having a great day. I'm excited about this video that we're sharing with you today for a few reasons. Reason number one is the gentleman that I'm going to be visiting with is just a phenomenal guy to follow on social media. He is always active. He's always challenging himself. And it's just fascinating and inspiring to watch what he's up to. So that's one reason. The other reason is that the gentleman we're going to be visiting with today can actually transform your business, transform your organization. And I know that's big talk. That's a big promise to live up to, but he has the reputation of doing this, I believe, over the past 30 or so years. So please join me in welcoming our guest today, Mr. Jack Daly. Jack, thanks so much.
Wayne, that's a very generous intro, and I appreciate it. The background that I have is between 26 and 46 years old. I took a blank sheet of paper on 6 different occasions and sketched a business, and then convinced other people to join me in building them. And all 6 companies were very fast growing, and they all went nationwide. I sold a couple to Wall Street, and then from 46 years old until today, I've been traveling the globe helping entrepreneurs and business owners grow their businesses.
Yeah, and your track record, we'll come back to that and talk about that in here a bit. But I was actually introduced to you way back, I guess probably maybe 6 years or so ago by a gentleman by the name of Cameron Harold, who also has a wonderful track record. And if I'm not mistaken, you were actually brought into an organization that he was a part of at the time, and you helped them go from wherever they were to, I think they landed number 2 on the Inc. 500, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so that company's 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Cameron was the chief operating officer, and I came in as a consultant and sales expert, and the company went off to incredible growth and is the largest junk removal company in the world today. So, when you mentioned following me on social media, I'm a crazy exercise guy. I've run 95 marathons, one in all 50 states. I've run one in all the continents, 15 Ironmans. And what's really funny about the Ironmans, Wayne, is that at 58 years old, I did not know how to swim. And between 58 years old and 66 years old, I put 15 full Ironmans down. So a lot of energy on this guy.
No, it's impressive, and genuinely for everyone watching, they should go follow you at least to be inspired by what you do. I don't know if we have time today, and I'm not asking you to share the story now, but your story of the swim coach, when you mentioned not knowing how to swim, your story of the swim coach and that whole concept. It's something we in our company still today, after hearing you speak, I think 5 years ago, it's something that regularly comes up in conversations here. And the question is, who's our swim coach? Who's our swim coach?
That's beautiful. And I love that you guys are leveraging that concept, because sometimes your very best customer will never buy or use your service, but could send you a lifetime of business. And the swim coach story is way too long for this broadcast today, but I would encourage people that were interested in it. They could go to my website at jackdalysales.com, and there are 4 magazines called Get Jacked, and the cover story on one of them is Who is Your Swim Coach? And there's a 2-page article. It'll detail it all out. For some of my clients, that's a game-breaking concept. I mean, literally change the fortunes and the direction of their company.
And I can testify, here we are, 5 or 6 years later after we originally heard that story, and still today it comes up regularly in conversation. And like Jack said, it can literally, that one thing can transform the way you look at sales, the way you look at growth for your whole organization. Briefly, Jack, I've got your book here. Briefly tell people what this book is about and who this book is for.
Yeah, so the Hyper Sales Growth is about 5 years old. The claim to fame was in the first week it was published. It was the #1 best-selling business book on Amazon in 7 countries. It just blew me away. The book is designed in 3 parts. The first part of the book is on culture, how to create a winning environment in your business. The second part is on sales management, how to recruit, train, coach, build, and develop salespeople. And the third is on sales. the proven systems and processes that will enable you to win new customers and grow the ones you have. So the last section is for salespeople. The middle section is for sales leader managers. And the first section is for business owners and entrepreneurs. So everybody can take a bite of that book.
Yeah, it's an excellent book and highly recommended. It's circulated in our office. We have multiple copies around here. So it's a great book. But you mentioned in kind of the beginning of the book, it's about culture. And I know that a lot of what you're doing now is working directly with owners, with CEOs, helping them really put their business in a position to scale rapidly, to grow rapidly. Talk a little bit about what you do when working with CEOs and kind of the way you structure your coaching program for them.
Yeah, I appreciate the question, Wayne. So I'm going to take you back and begin on a little bit of a sad note, and then we'll bring it up from there. I always had planned on doing CEO coaching when I got tired of making the travel around the world, 250,000 air miles a year, or when I got so old that people were questioning why I was on stage. But I got to the CEO coaching level earlier than that because of a sad circumstance. My wife of 47 years in February of 17 was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I said, look, this is going to be a heavy duty battle. I'll stay home and we'll battle it together. And so when I took myself off the road almost entirely, I needed something to do, and I filled it in with CEO coaching because I do that over the phone and can reach out worldwide and helping business owners really hyper grow their business. Unfortunately, on that sad note, my wife fought a valiant fight, but was passed away in November of 17. And yet I fell in love with the coaching business because I could see the mark that I was making. So I continue to do that today. And now in the environment of the pandemic where I'm not traveling as much, I actually have a few seats available for additional clients. Essentially, I bring 6 things to the marketplace when I'm with my coach clients. The first one is a real big one, and that's accountability. We all increase our performance when someone's holding us accountable. And having built 6 companies from scratch, I know how important it is, and I know how to do it. And as I say to most people that are coming and talking to me, I'm not the right coach for most people because I am blunt, I am direct, and I am demanding. So if you're looking for a guy like that, then you got a good choice in me. The second thing that I bring of 6 is focus. So many entrepreneurs make the mistake of always chasing the next shiny object. But you know, when Steve Jobs was about to be passing away, he was interviewed and he was asked this question: of all the things that you've done, what's the thing you're most proud of? And Steve, without hesitation, said, what I'm most proud of is all of the things people pitched me to do that I said no to. You know, think about Apple at a $2 trillion valuation, and they have very few products. And so I say, find your lane and own your lane. And I keep my guys herded into that lane and make sure that they don't get distracted by other things. Now, the third thing is I bring a devil's advocate role to the coaching relationship. And one of my favorite questions is why? And I ask it a lot. I'll ask it a lot even after you've answered it. I'll ask why again, and I'll ask it again, and I'll ask it again. And very often around the 4th or 5th time that I ask it, you get so ticked off that you just say, well, here, and you give me something, and I go, that's where the gold is. That's where it's at. And so I'm going to be challenging the way you currently do business. I have a client today in my coaching program. They're about $200 million in size, and they've been around for about 28 years. Their aspiration, their vision is to be 500 million in the next 3 years. Well, one of the advantages they have is they've got a top line leadership team that's been with the company for over 25 years. That's an advantage. It's also a disadvantage because as Marshall Goldsmith says, what got you here won't get you there. And so I'm going to have to change it up because 2 to 3 to 5 to 8% growth isn't going to make it from 200 to 500 million. So that's one of those things, devil's advocate. The fourth thing that I bring to the table is I'm all about hyper growth. And so I only want to work with clients that are interested in really going way beyond single digit and looking at transformation of their business and seeing if an outsider can give you a perspective that when you're inside the jar, it's tough to read the label, you know? And so I'm outside the jar and I can take a look at that label. The fifth thing that I bring to the party is I'm a networker for resources. There's a lot of people with a lot of resources, but you're looking at a guy that for the last 30 years has been traveling the globe. I've been working with YPO and EO and the Council of Growing Companies, CEO Global, Vistage Tech, all these places where CEOs aggregate and congregate. So what I say is this: I don't care about whether I know the answer, but what I do know is if we got a challenge, I'm probably no more than 2 phone calls away from finding the guy that does have the answer, and I'll get my ego out of the way and give you that answer. The last thing that I think I bring to the party is I think I'm a good person to bounce ideas off of, because I'll shoot you straight. And no matter how close you are with your direct reports, there's always a little bit of hesitation, like, man, if I tell this guy he's just bat crazy, he could fire me. And quite frankly, I don't really care if you fire me. I'm just going to shoot you straight, because that's what I'm all about. So those are the 6 things. I do it on 2 phone calls a month. Each phone call lasts about an hour and a half.
Gotcha. And what I can tell you just from my experience in following you and hearing you speak and reading your book and just kind of knowing some of the people that you associate with, that you're the real deal. I mean, there's a lot of people out there today who hang their hats on or put the sign on the front of the building, so to speak, saying, I'm a consultant, I'm a coach. And they make all these promises with very little to back it up, other than maybe, some book they read on, how to be a coach or how to be a consultant. And so, for those of you out there watching this, that are looking in this uncertain world that we live in and these challenging times that we live in, for someone to, like Jack said, to hold you accountable, to keep you focused on what's going to make the biggest impact, and someone who simply knows how to sell and how to grow organizations, I would highly recommend reaching out to Jack. So Jack, where can people go? Where should people go if they're interested in at least learning more about your program?
Yeah, so before I answer that question, Wayne, and I really appreciate your endorsement here. Let me get something very, very important out, particularly during these pandemic times. The best piece of advice that I can give people is, whatever timeline you think that you're fighting through, go longer. For example, my business is speaking to large groups of people. Even though my calendar is full of engagements that are scheduled for 2021, I actually believe they're all going to get flipped into virtual. I don't think I'll be in front of a live audience until 2022. Now, if it comes sooner, it's found money. So what I try to teach my clients is, go worst case and figure out how you become successful in a worst case environment. And then if it comes out to be earlier, it's found money. That's the deal. Now, how to get a hold of me? The easiest thing is email. My email address, and I answer all of them all personally, jack@jackdalysales.com. And Daly is spelled D-A-L-Y. So jack@jackdalysales.com. And I would also tell you that you could go to my website, and it's full of all kinds of stuff that you can download, and it's all for free. We're just interested in making a difference here. That's what it's all about for us. Last thing I mentioned to you on the answer to your question is this. You held up the book, Hyper Sales Growth. Here's what I can tell you. It is full of easily implementable things that work. I am not a theory guy. I am a street sales guy who started selling at the age of 7, and I'm selling at the age of 71 today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll be sure to put a link to your site as well, make it a little easier. And speaking of practical things, I've got this. You don't have to go into to the full story of what this is, but this is something that Jack brought when he was here. I was lucky enough to get one of them. And talking about practical, talking about something that actually makes an impact, even in the tech world that we live in today. Can you briefly just explain what this is?
No, you know what I'm going to do even better than that? I'm going to tell anybody that's interested, and we'll tease them with that, what's called the money bag. All you need to do is go on YouTube and punch in Jack Daly money bag, and I'll just teach you what to do with that thing. And I call it a money bag because that money bag makes me unbelievable amount of money, and people all around the world are telling me the same thing.
Yep. No, it's a phenomenal thing. And I agree with Jack, and do recommend his book for those who've watched any of our videos in the past or been a part of any of our events. You know that I read a lot and take books very seriously. And this is one that if you're in business, you should read this book. Well, Jack, as we kind of wrap up and conclude our time today, I just want to first of all say thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to share with us. And again, for those who are interested in learning more about your coaching program, we'll put a link to the site. Jack gave his email earlier if you want to email him directly. And as we wrap up, Jack, I'm just curious. One of my favorite things on your website, you have a phenomenal amount of resources there, but I love going and looking at your personal goals and your year-end review.
Yeah.
What are those two things and why do you put them on your site?
Because at the age of 13, I interviewed 200 successful people, and I wondered what caused them to be the success that they were. And there were a lot of common themes. And one of the themes were put your goals in writing, share them with as many people as possible, and put a date when you're going to get them done, and don't overload them. Don't pick too many. And so I've taken it to the extreme, because when I post them for the world to see, no matter whether I'm in India or whether I'm in Australia or whether I'm in the US, people come up to me and say, hey, how you doing on this goal? How you doing on that goal? So it puts the heat on me all of the time. And I would really encourage people to go look at those goals sitting right out there on the website. They're big, they're brassy, they're bold. But I'll also tell you that if you see the year in review, most of everything that I try to get done, I get done. Now, one last thing for you, Wayne, and I'll tease you a little bit yourself, and that is, during the pandemic, since I wasn't flying, I decided to take a 2021 goal and put it in 2020. And that is, I wrote my next book. So it's in the hands of my publisher, and it has to do with the goal setting. It's a very different book than anything I've ever written before. It's called Life by Design. And I show you how to go about that goal setting process, how to go about achieving your bucket list, and the processes and the systems. And I use myself as evidence because I've done a whole lot of wacky stuff.
Yeah, it's for those watching, go find it on his website. I think it's under the About section or About Jack section on his website. And very interested and looking forward to your upcoming book that'll be coming out. So Jack, thanks again for taking time out of your day. I greatly appreciate it.
You bet. I wish everybody the best of luck, and be sure to stay healthy.